tonight. She's an author, an inspirational speaker, an international businesswoman, and she's coming here tonight just to really share the love and share her wisdom. So let's give her a big round of applause. Denise.
So the techniques that I discussed tonight are all explained in details in this book. And they're really to show you that you can create from scratch, you know. And life gives you several key opportunities to seize your decisive moment, to create, to change your destiny. So one of those decisive moments for me in my life, when I became a business owner in Europe in the period of 1995 to 2009, I was managing and being a partner we had a few businesses in different countries, and the annual revenue of a few million euros. Now, I'm telling you this because it was a contrasting situation with my very humble beginnings. You see, I became an orphan when I was 2 from my mom, and my father took off. He was an alcoholic. And I grew up in foster homes. And this was very difficult on many levels, you can imagine. When I was 13, I started working. And then I worked as a waitress to pay for my studies, while my friends were carefree, playing. I guess I mentioned that because these very simple steps, what I learned in this book, has allowed me to pass from this situation to what I was living and the wonderful life I have today, what I lived in from 1995 to 2009. So the power that we have in us to change things with a few simple steps. I'll give you another example. For 30 years in my life, I suffered from birds phobia. That means an acute fear of birds. When they were around, I would panic. Now, you know, I thought, like most people, when we have something like this, it just happened to me. There's nothing I can do about this. I've always had this. So because I was learning these wonderful things, I started asking myself questions. Well, when did that started? Why did I ask myself questions? Because part of me decided, well, I know something can be better. See, the moment is stepping back. I know it can be better. How can I make it better? So if everything starts from me, so where did I start it? I thought I always had this. Well, when in my life, what is in my life that was ever in connection to birds a while back? And then I remember an incident when I was in one of those foster homes. I'm about 5, 6 years old, and we were living in the country, and I went to the field where there was a bird's nest. I'm looking at the bird lovers there. and I find these little birdies, they just newborn. I am so excited. I pick them up. They don't have feathers. They're so young. And I put them in my little pocket there. Take it home to show my aunt. I'm so happy, that I found them. When I get there, she says, "What have you done? You're hurting these birds. Go put them where you took them. Don't touch them. You're hurting them." Like, I'm panicking at this time. I feel the last thing I want is to hurt these little birds. What am I going to do? I don't know what to do. So I return to the nest. Now, I'm not very high, but for these birds, it's quite high. I know I can't touch them. I'm going to hurt them if I touch them, right? So I reverse my pocket. They fall on the floor, and they're screaming, aching. I'm just like traumatized. I'm looking at this, and I'm feeling so bad and so guilty. I just don't know what to do. So right then and then, with my wisdom of a 5-year-old, I decided to practice euthanasia. Yeah, I'm not proud to say that, but I decided to work on them to cut their suffering. Yeah, I don't feel good about that. So what happened is all my life I had condemned myself for having done that. I didn't know that this was buried inside me. Because I asked myself the question, I realized that feeling. And I just decided to forgive myself. I said, that little girl, you see, the shift of perception inside of us really heals the past, and how it changes our destiny, it frees us for better things. So I confronted that little girl inside me and said, you know, you were never meant to hurt these birds. You love birds. And you really just wanted good for them. You didn't know what to do. That's the best way you thought what to do at the time. You are a good little girl. And so I stayed in that feeling. And after a while, my feelings shifted. You see, when we have a new perception, the feelings shift. Then after that, I noticed that I was not so panicky around birds. Today, I live in a park in Montreal, and it's lots of birds. I feed them. I love birds. So the shift in perception has really healed me of this situation. So sometimes we carry hurt from the past, maybe other people have hurt us or whatever. We judge them, we judge ourselves. So the shift of perception in our mind is very, very powerful. Many people, they might not access their dreams. You know, may your dreams be a new job or money, health. Why? Maybe they suffer from acute excusitis, the failure disease. Well, I was born like this. I've always had this. Or it's because of where I come from. Well, I can't afford this. This is too expensive. Or I don't speak this language. Or they don't like French people here. Or it's my partner. Oh, well, I don't have a partner. If I only had a husband. Or it's my doctor. You know, if only I had another boss. If only my parents had treated me differently. If only, you know, this time of the year, the sales are no good after Christmas. Like all these excuses, you know, they keep us in the victim role. And when we're there, we don't take action. You know, to accept responsibility, if I take responsibility, that means I know in me somewhere there is a solution. I can take the action. It gives me the power to change something. So very important. So in taking of the accepting responsibility, when I lived here, for a few years I was suffering from anemia. And my doctor realized that I was losing so much blood during the period that my hemoglobin was too low, and they needed to operate before the next period. It was critical. But there was only 3 weeks, and they figured the hemoglobin was not going to have time to get safe level high. So the gynecologist suggested that prescribed to me a pill that would solve the problem. So this pill was going to stop the period. The hemoglobin would rise. When it's high enough, we're going to operate, take the fibroids in the uterus out, and you'll be fine. Sounded like a very good practical solution. So where's the moment there? We seize the moment. I dare to step back and ask a little question. Well, what are the side effects of this pill you're prescribing me? Oh, he says, well, not much. You're just going to have a little bit more hair on your body. Your voice will change somewhat. Besides that, everything is okay. Oh, okay. Well, what do you mean my voice will change somewhat? Well, you know, these are testosterone pills, so you'll have a more manly voice. Yeah, okay. Well, these symptoms, are they going to remain or go away after a while? wow, I'm seizing my power, right? He says, oh, no, they're going to remain. Okay, thank you very much. I think I'm going to think about this. Now, he's the expert, right? I dare to think. So I'm seizing my power. He looks at me as if I come from Mars. I say, I'm going to think about it. I decide to go for a second opinion. I go straight to the women's hospital. To make a long story short, before the 3 weeks is up, my next period, I was operated. Everything went fine. I did not need transfusion, which was not too popular in those days. And everything went well. Now, what do you think about tonight? If I did not seize my moment, I'd be speaking to you with a man's voice. You see, these little moments, they affect our life for years to come. It can be tragic sometimes. So life sends setbacks to all of us. Every one of us, we have setbacks. It's what we do with them that counts. It's not the setbacks. Oh, poor me. In the setbacks, we have the choice to seize the moment and turn it into an opportunity. Let me tell you a story about a father, how he dealt with a setback for his daughter. She was 17-year-old and parked on the highway, on the side of the highway, sitting on the trunk of the car with her friends. Another car came and smashed her legs. The father is a chiropractor. When he was informed of this accident, he was distraught. He rushed to the hospital, and the specialist there said, her legs are finished, smashed by two cars. We need to amputate, which would have meant she would have been in a wheelchair for the rest of her life, right? He said, there's no way. I mean, this guy sees this moment. There's no way my daughter is going to be in a wheelchair for the rest of her life. He didn't know how he's going to get out of this, but no, legs amputated. Takes her away from there onto the next hospital. Next specialist says, oh, this is finished. We have to amputate. And he says, now he's threatening from negligence because she's a minor. You are preventing your daughter from the best care, what he thought was the best care. And the father, against all odds, when we want to change things, sometimes we go against all odds. He said, no way. He didn't care, everybody against it. She's not going to spend her life in a wheelchair. Takes him to the third hospital. Third specialist now, same thing. We have to amputate, and he's threatening legal pursuit. Now the father could have gotten a little bit scared then, right? Could have questioned his conviction. What do you do when everybody is against what you believe? At that time, because when we go with what we believe, we don't always have all the answer. We hang on to something better without knowing all the steps in between. So he remembered at the time, because he wasn't going to go to a fourth hospital. He knew now, this is it, this is what they're going to do for me. That in his practice as a chiropractor, that he was helping patients with their arms, neck, and back problem with this electromagnetic machine he had. So I'm going to try this on my daughter. What do you have to lose? If he wants to give a chance to the universe to manifest the vision of his daughter with healthy legs, he cannot amputate, right? He has to try something. So he tried that. He didn't know anything better. The best thing at hand, if the universe wants another solution, he'll put it on your path. So every day a few hours, he was treating her like this. And after its time, I don't know, when he told me the story, it was 20 years later. He showed me trophies. She had been marathon runners, downhill skiing, rollerblading, all the sports with her legs. She was so grateful. Now, do you think this would would have happened if the daughter would have been so afraid and not trust the father? You know, the father, if he had not held the vision of healthy legs for his daughter. Sometimes the vision that we hold for the people is very powerful. The vision we hold for ourselves. He had the vision for his daughter. You see, he changed, he saved her from the wheelchair. Thank God for him. There's a man I know that is 84 years old. He's very, very wise. Another story. When he was 20, the doctor told him, you're going to die. You have 2 months to live. Now, what would you do when you're given a death sentence like this? You see, when we're told something by the authority, and the authority in our life could be the medical, the teacher, the parent, the husband that we put on a pedestal, or the wife that knows everything. The authority tells us something, we take this at face value, this becomes our reality. That's what we focus on, that's it. I mean, I can be guilty of that sometime too for a moment. You know, doctor says something, ooh. So the doctor told him that. Now, people, when they're told that, sometimes they just prepare for they just spend their next 2 months the best way they can, right? They could spend all their money, have a party with their friends, but what they keep in mind, this is it, counting the days, I have like so many days left. This guy elevated himself. He went on the highest mountain he could find in Tibet. And they're close to the sky and close to nature, with fresh air, with the Tibetan monks. He was praying and they were feeding him vegetable juice. A year later, he came back full of life and vibrant. And today he's 84, because he looks 64. So, you know, if he had taken that at face value, you know, he would have deprived us of all his wisdom for all those years. He's really helping a lot of people. All his life he has touched a lot of people, to help them to change, especially in the health. So what is important to keep in mind always, whatever the area in your life, what even it's big or small, you know, is to keep in mind that you are able to succeed. Keep in mind that it is possible. Keep the vision, even if it's just a project you're on or something you want to change, a habit, a new job, no money, whatever it is. Like I ask people who smoke. Anyone here smoke? No one smokes. That's great. Okay, but when I meet people who smoke, I ask them, can you imagine yourself as a non-smoker? And I would say 95 and more % tells me, no way. It's not possible. I'm a smoker. You know, would you be here tonight if you didn't plan in your mind, I have to be there at a certain time, I'm going to go with someone, or I'm going to take a taxi or the subway, or I'm going to go on a trip, buy my ticket, I have to go for a job interview, I'm going to show up at a certain time. We plan it in our mind, right? How is it possible someone would stop anything, smoking or anything else, without first having it in their mind? Like when I smoked, for me, it was very easy to stop. I was smoking for 5 years, more than a pack a day, but all through that time, I envisioned myself as a non-smoker, free from cigarette. I never accepted myself as a smoker. To the point that people who saw me smoke said, well, it doesn't suit you. It's like you're not made to smoke. It just seems like it doesn't go with you. You know, what we think of ourselves, we project onto others. This is how they think about us. So this vision of me as a non-smoker, that's how they were thinking about me. It's very important to think good things about ourselves, right? It influences how others sees us. So life constantly gives us choices to act on our new convictions. So what are your convictions? Those are what you need to use to seize your moments. And sometimes, it can be scary to adhere to philosophies that many people reject or walk off the beaten track. But that's how we create miracles. I like to think of us as authors, like we are all authors of our own lives, that we can all create miracles. It's up to us. We have the power in us. We just need to access it. And how we access it is by regularly tending to our inner garden. So what I'm telling you, my techniques seem simple, right? But they are simple. But they work. They have worked for me over and over for years. Started at age 15. I won't tell you my age, but you can calculate it. I think they can work for you even much better because, when you have the recipe, it's much simpler. You can do a lot even better, much quicker. Time evolves, right? In 2009, by a combination of circumstances where I did not respect my limits, I found myself bedridden for several months, and I was bordering death. And at that time, what saved me, one of my decisive moments, I thought, there's no way, I cannot go. I did not put on paper my secrets. What I thought for me made such a big difference in my life. I cannot take this with me to the grave. I'm not finished here. You see, most people at that time were seeing me dying, including my doctors. Not me. I was planning my next trip to Europe. And I was, in my mind, programming my health. I did not have the luxury in a critical situation. We don't have the luxury to contemplate how bad our situation is. Poor me. God, am I going to ever get out of this? No. The only powerful things to do is to focus on what we want. That's what I did. So I took the treatment, my obligatory treatment, but I did not take the sleeping pills or painkillers. I was just programming my health quietly without talking about it to anyone. Why? I did not want the debate. I did not want others' opinion. Why? Because I did not want their fears. Everybody was so fearful, lovingly fearful, nevertheless fearful. Didn't want that. I didn't want them to shake up my faith. I worked on building my faith. And I didn't have the energy to read, so I went from memory, connecting with the powers to be. I was envisioning myself speaking to you about this subject. And I couldn't die before I did this. I'm not going to die tomorrow. And one doctor came by one day and said, "You are a miracle on this floor." Why did she say I was a miracle? Because on this floor, where they put the cases that usually died, she didn't see many of them come out of there alive. We could say in normal situation, people can come from this childhood. All of this comes from simple steps. They're always the same steps. I'm not eliminating. It's just something I learned from a book, applied, and it's very simple. You hang on to that. So what do I mean by programming? I mean, at that time, focusing on my inner garden, not listening to the fear that the doctor would feed me. Oh yeah, this is not working. Or my friends, oh my God, you better do your will. These simple steps have saved my life. Then I seized the moment. You see, I could have gone with the fear. How terrible. I can't even get out of my bed. I know I was going to be like this. how humiliating. I mean, I don't want to describe the scenario, but anyhow, the purpose is not this. It's just magical. Seize the moment, it really changed it. Saved my life. Another example that saved my life, I was living here, Toronto. At that time, I used to go to Montreal every weekend. My boyfriend at the time, we're driving on the 401. He has cruise control, his feet on the dashboard. And I am programming, my eyes closed, imagining my life, my next project, or whatever I was planting in my mind then. And then I sense the car going in the ditch. Boom! My eyes closed, right? Boom, boom, boom. And for a split second, the mind goes fast. I thought, this is it. I'm just gonna get out of this land. And then at the same moment, I seized my moment and thought, this is the opportunity to imagine exactly the outcome that I want in this situation now, not tomorrow or next week or next year. So I imagine ourselves getting out of the ditch without an itch, back on the highway without hurting any car, and on the road to Montreal. And then I kept my eyes closed, relaxed. Everything went so fast. I sensed boom, 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 out of the ditch. 3 spin, complete spin on the 401. No hurting any other cars. We are on the right lane back, direction Montreal. And he keeps going. I said, please stop. I'd like to digest this moment. I opened my eyes then. Do you think this would have happened if I started screaming and being all fearful and lost it? I don't know, but I just know what happened is exactly what I had imagined. You see, our brain doesn't know the difference between what is real or imagined. That's why I program. Our brain doesn't know the difference with what is real or imagined. So if I focus on my job that doesn't have any traveling, it cannot produce a job that I'm going to be gone 50% of the time. If I focus on a reversal of the contract, it doesn't know the difference. My brain just accepts what I put there. So call it create, call it the law of attraction. I started doing this a lot way before it was invented. The law of attraction is, give it another name. So it's like the doctor giving an example. The doctor sometimes, one time, gets the wrong file by error. And this patient is there, and he tells her, with your deadly disease now, you only have 1 month to live. I'm sorry to say, this is it. This guy accepts this as his reality. This becomes true. That's his reality. Goes on, prepares his funeral, and dies. It's very sad, but it's true. So, what we accept the choice is ours. So the usual results that you see around you, the thinking that you see around you, is this what you want? Ask yourself. So if it's not what you want, decide otherwise. Only you can make that decision. No one can decide that for you. The change of destiny happens in here. What happens if you don't take care of your inner garden? If you don't, well, you're going to be swayed away by popular thinking, by the authorities, whoever the authorities are in your life. You know, I can give you an example of me. I neglected my inner garden when I was in business in Europe. In the peak of our business, where I was doing the best, I was lots of contracts, lots of employees. At that time, I was also negotiating the sale of that business for a very high price, many million euros. And I was so busy doing the do things, I neglected my inner garden. Didn't have time. So I got very stressed and very uptight and everything. I lost the sale. Everybody was very disappointed. Everybody, my two other partners, including me. So, not too late, I seized my mom and I said, okay, what happened here? Maybe this is for the best. There might be a good reason there. It's never finished, right? Never finished until it's finished. It's finished when you give up. So I got a hold of my best knowledge then and started doing what I know that works. It took longer. I got a lesser price for it. In the end, everything worked out and I had the money that I wanted. So it really is important for us to continue. It's not an acquired thing that we graduate and then it's over, right? It's consistently in our life what we focus on. If I focus on the problem, the difficulty with this negotiation, well, this is what I'm focusing on today. The important thing is what I pay my attention to today. So I hope the example I've given you have helped you realize how easy and doable those simple steps are, to change your destiny.